This is day 3 of 12 of our May Andalucia trip, and today we're in Córdoba. We arrived and checked into our Airbnb around 1:30. We were staying to the south of the iconic Roman bridge, so it was super convenient in terms of proximity to the historical sites, and honestly getting to walk across this bridge throughout the day was the biggest treat of all. There's a lot of free parking in this area, so if you have a car like we did, your best bet is to park here. We only planned for one day in Córdoba, so we really wanted to make the most of it while we were there, and Córdoba ended up being one of my favorite cities of our trip. It's a place with so much complexity, being a merging together of 3 central religions and cultures, the Roman architecture, and the gardens and floral elements present on every facet of every street corner. One of the things we kept mentioning to each other was just how good and fresh the city smelled because of all the flowers. We started at the Alcazaba de los Reyes Cristianos. This is a fortress and residence complex with a sprawling array of gardens at the back. I would say the highlights here were the enormous Roman mosaic floors on display, the outlook points that gave way to views across the city and gardens, and the gardens itself, although most of the fountains weren't functional. This is something we noticed throughout our trip in almost all the cities we visited, which I read could be due to multiple factors like maintenance, water conservation, or it may have just been too early in the season. This is still a very beautiful complex, and I would recommend a visit as the gardens, mosaics, and views are exquisite. Afterwards, we explored the Juderia neighborhood, also known as the Jewish Quarter, and grabbed some lunch. This neighborhood is really what made me fall in love with Córdoba. You'll know you're in the Juderia as it has such a distinct aesthetic of quaint streets with whitewashed buildings, blue and mustard yellow accents with street signs in black and white bold font. After lunch, we visited the Mezquita Catedral. This is a must-do if you're here in Córdoba. It originated as a mosque during the Moorish period that was later converted into a cathedral after the Reconquista. Such an interesting building because it still retains the volume and architecture of the original mosque, which was one of the earliest Moorish structures in the region, and can still be seen through the iconic white and terracotta striped arches that line the entire building. The design of cathedrals and churches are typically made to be quite narrow as they're built to lead you up to the main altar, so this was really unique as the depth of the mosque area compared to the cathedral portion was so vast, and the continuation of arches almost felt like you were in a liminal space. It really did give the impression that they just plopped the cathedral down into the middle of it, and the distinction between the two is very evident. We were in Córdoba during the famed patio festival, which is basically where locals wanting to participate will decorate their patios and courtyards with gardens and floral arrangements. There's many different areas where these are concentrated, and there is a map that you can find online that lists each one. Our Airbnb host did warn us that it would be crazy and that we wouldn't be able to visit all of them, but we had to visit just one. We thought he was exaggerating, but when we saw the lineups of people outside each home, we couldn't believe it. So we took his advice and visited just one. We waited in line for about 5 minutes, I'd say, which isn't too bad, but we ultimately decided it wasn't worth the time as we'd be spending more time in line than in the actual patios. You're basically going into someone's home, and the patio portion is very small, so there's a limit to how many people can go in. It's also nice to leave a tip to the homeowner once you exit, given you are going into their private space. We took it easy in the evening, wandered around the more commercial central area, through some parks and gardens, and then headed back in for the night across the bridge, which looked absolutely stunning, all lit up at night. Day 3 we'll be spending half the day in Córdoba and then heading on to Sevilla, so stay tuned for that.